Tell me what it was like when you first met Kyle. How did you get to know him?
Kyle approached me when he was about 13 years old, and he and a group of friends played rugby outside school and wanted to set up a school team. So they came and asked me if that would be something that they could do. I didn't know anything about rugby at the time, so I offered to drive the minibus and arrange the fixtures for them, and I said they'd probably need to help me in a few other areas, which they did. What
was Kyle like as a character? Because he seems like quite an ebullient character.
Yeah, he was always a really big character at school. You often heard him before you saw him. But he was really outgoing, he was really confident amongst his peers, but certainly with his rugby. And he was just a really inspiring character. He really brought energy to whatever he was doing, and he really encouraged other people and gave them confidence, which in a rugby setting was fantastic, particularly because a lot of the boys that he got to play rugby were not experienced rugby players.
He seems like quite a charismatic person when you watch him on screen, when you watch him being interviewed.
Yeah, he was. He's got a really great story, so I'm really glad that comes across in his character. But also, he's grown up having to kind of work hard for where he's got to, and I think that brings with it a resilience and a determination, and that comes across, and rightly so. He's got a confidence about him that he believes he's going to be one of the best tight head props in the world, and I think he wouldn't be where he was today if it wasn't for that. So I think that's actually served him really well, and I would always encourage other people to be like that, to help them achieve their goals.
What was that team like? What was it when the rugby team was up and running within Graveney School? What was it like to see it develop, and what was it like to see them play against other teams?
It was really incredibly rewarding for me as a teacher. We were rough around the edges. We didn't have a rugby pitch and we didn't have any rugby on the curriculum, so we just went from match to match, and we used to get changed in the school minibus because we were often playing on a public park, so we didn't get much of a chance to train between matches or to do much kind of technical work, but actually that suited us because it made us hard to play against as an opposition, and yeah, we just went from match to match and tried to do the best we could. But we were a real mixture of boys who'd played rugby outside school, who knew a little bit about what they were doing and what the game needed to look like, and then there were other boys who'd just been picked because they were either really athletic or they were really good at other sports that we knew had transferable skills, and then we just tried our best to make sure that they understood the basic principles of run forwards, pass backwards, and yeah, the rest kind of came together as we went along.
Given that you're now coaching rugby, how did your encounter with Kyle change your career?
I had literally never watched a game of rugby before, so when we got to matches and tournaments where we were supposed to referee, I had to pretend that I was injured because I didn't know the laws, so I wasn't able to referee, so I actually had to pretend I was injured and get other people to do it. And yeah, it was really good to see them develop, and it was really rewarding to see some of the social and behavioural changes that went on when the boys were involved in rugby, because it's such a disciplined sport and because the core values are so prominent in everything. It was amazing to see boys who might have been a bit yobbish on a football field who just behaved absolutely immaculately on a rugby pitch, and I think that for me was the start of my journey when I realised the impact it could have on inner London boys, maybe boys who didn't have a huge amount of other interests or who could have easily been taken the wrong way. I think it was great that rugby became the thing that they were good at and something that they were passionate about. Certainly gave them a really controlled place to let out some aggression and let off some steam, and that started to have an impact in the classroom, around school in terms of their behaviour, and so many of them now have gone on to play rugby and have been the first one in their families to go to university and that kind of thing, and for me it's just launched a different pathway for my career. I was a highboard diver, so I knew nothing about rugby, and now I'm privileged to work at Trinity School, where I work as a leading rugby coach, and also I do a lot of work with England Rugby as a coach educator, and so I now help new coaches learn how to coach, and I love it. I don't really remember life before I was coaching rugby.
Kyle obviously remembers you. I've seen him interviewed and he mentions you by name. Have you had much contact with him as he's progressed through the England ranks?
Yeah, so I see him a bit at Harlequins. And
what's that like?
Yeah, it's great. He still calls me Miss, which everybody finds entertaining. If I see him particularly around some of the other Quins boys, they do give him a bit of stick for the fact that he's 26 and calls me Miss still. But I suppose that's just a term of respect, and the fact that he only knows me as his school teacher. We text each other after the game, which is really nice, and I just want him to know that I'm going to continue to support him even though he's not at school anymore. Yeah, it's just a really great opportunity for him.
And how proud are you of the fact that he's been named in the starting lineup for the World Cup final?
It's incredible. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of everything that he's achieved and the journey that he's had to go on to get to that stage. I think it's remarkable, and I just hope he's loved every minute of the journey to the final, and I hope that he just embraces the opportunity on Saturday, just lives in the moment, and whatever the result, whatever the outcome, obviously I'm desperate for England to win, but I just really hope that he does himself proud and that he really enjoys it and looks back on that as the start of something brilliant for him.